Hey, welcome to the 24th floor. The Memphis Tigers are 2-0 in conference play. We get into the gritty win over North Texas, plus the shot. And I mean the shot, Caleb, from PJ Haggerty that had everyone shaking their heads.
Then we'll take you to Oxford, where the Ole Miss Rebels were looking to start the new year outright by getting back in the win column after losing by 17 to Memphis just a week ago.
Yeah, and then later the Grizzlies are finally back home after 5 games on the road. And could there be a big name trade in their future? Well, we break it all down right now. Let's get into it. Well, it's a new year, and there's still just 2 of us. We can't get the team back together yet. I don't know what's happening, but we're one in, one out. Maybe on Thursday.
You know, and this morning, it was kind of low energy coming in, getting up early, because we get to the station around 7:38. But it was snowing outside.
It was snowing. We're both in the car park or parking lot at the same time, and just watching the flurries. There's very little bit of snow, but I was instantly high energy, so excited by the snow.
Yeah.
I think it's about my 3rd time ever seeing snowfall from the sky. So
Yeah.
it's very exciting. I hope for more later in the week.
Not much snow in the Australian mountain range.
No, not much at all.
Not much.
Especially considering I don't live in a mountain range, so not much snow at all.
Rachel's usually very sensitive to the cold. Like, it can be
Yes.
60 degrees, and Rachel's like,
freezing,
aren't you
bundled
cold?
up. Yeah.
But walking in today, we came in at the same time, and Rachel was standing there waiting to
looking
get a
up at the
video of
sky,
me
happy.
walking in, with all the snow flurries.
I could have stood out there for ages. I'm okay if it's cold if I get to see snow.
Yeah.
If it's just cold and there's nothing to show for it, I don't want it. Yeah,
I wish it would snow more.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, it wasn't snowing in the Forum, but it was raining in the Forum yesterday.
It was raining in the Forum. Time to get into our big idea of the day. The Memphis Tigers sitting pretty after beating North Texas yesterday to move to a perfect 2-0 in conference play. The Tigers starting out slow, going down 14-7 thanks to a couple of made threes from the Mean Green. But enter Dane Danger. He steps onto the floor, and seconds later, he's having an impact. From there, the Tigers turn the defensive pressure up a couple of notches. Memphis get the steal right here, and PJ Haggerty up the other end for the bucket and 1. Then very next play, the Memphis D swarming North Texas, and Haggerty right there to force the turnover and grab the layup. Memphis take a 33-32 lead at the half, but North Texas opened the second half with a 6-0 run. Tyrese Hunter had enough though. He said, hold up, this is mine. Smooth steal right here, and the 2-hand slam to finish. He's feeling it. His teammates are feeling it, and the entire Forum is feeling it too. But the gritty defense didn't stop there. All 6'11" of Musa Cisse diving on the ground. He passes it ahead to Haggerty, and it's another bucket for number 4. Memphis, led by Haggerty's 27 points, survived North Texas 68-64.
This was a tough, to me, NCAA tournament win. We played Boise State a couple years ago. It was that knockdown, physicality, drag-out type situation. You have to win these games, especially at home, and we did.
This conference is not as easy as people say it is. I think it's a pretty tough conference, but just keep building, keep practicing hard, and just keep winning.
Memphis move up to number 19 in the AP standings. That's the first time this year they've been in the top 25 in the AP in back-to-back weeks. So a great start to them for conference play, especially considering their 2 wins, FAU and North Texas, the 2 best teams right now in the AAC, outside of Memphis, obviously.
Yeah, big for the confidence as well. And Penny going into the game said after the game that he felt like his team were kind of getting back to where they were for the Arkansas State game, where, we're going to come in, we're going to win this game, we're better than this team. But you can't do that at any level of Division I college basketball. And the Tigers came out and looked a little bit sloppy at the beginning. North Texas is an extremely physical team. They were last year, they are this year too. And that's what Memphis struggled with against Auburn, against Arkansas State, and against Mississippi State. But then they kind of turned the tides around halfway through the first half. Full court press. If it doesn't work out, you look dumb. If it works out, you look like a great coach. And Penny Hardaway knows when to implement that full court pressure, and it really worked out. Haggerty didn't score until midway through the first half too, and so he started scoring. And I think anytime when he starts getting going, it's contagious. The rest of the offense can kind of breathe a sigh of relief. They can find him in space. You know, when he's cooking, he can find other players, and that's what it looked like. But North Texas still hung around in the first half and throughout the game, too. Shot the ball really well, but Memphis, minus their three-pointers, just straight up from inside the arc, were 61% for the game.
Yeah, wow.
Which is really impressive, 19 of 31. And if you add in P.J. Haggerty's three-pointers, it's 22 of 34. So, yeah, because he was 3 of 3 from three, including that 35-foot shot.
Yeah, I think going into that game, I think we all kind of expected Memphis to get and win with a bigger win than what they did last night. Obviously, it's still a win, and Penny said, you know, he thought it was going to be a tough game, and he didn't think it was going to be a blowout by any means, but he thought his guys thought it was. And you saw that in the beginning, like you mentioned. They was really quite slow on offense, and I'm sitting there on the baseline watching Penny kind of get into his guys, being like, pick it up, pick it up. And one of the guys he was targeting with that is Tyrese Hunter, just saying, it's too slow, you're jogging it up the court. I want to see it move faster. And you saw him put in Dane Danger, and that is when things really flipped a switch a little bit. He was making them move faster. He had an instant impact. I thought he was really impressive last night. 14 points, 3 rebounds, his third double-digit performance in a row for him. The one kind of error and area of concern for him, 7 of Memphis's 15 turnovers coming from Dane. But outside of that, he was doing a lot to really help Memphis kind of get things going. And Tyrese Hunter also picked up the pace, and of course, P.J. Haggerty. We got to talk about P.J. Haggerty.
Yeah, we definitely do. One more thing I want to bring up is you saw in that highlight of PJ hitting the 35-footer, Dane actually, you said, hit his funny bone. And so the way he passed it, I thought was pretty ironic. Having 7 turnovers and Memphis only having 7 assists for the game, which is abysmal for a Penny Hardaway team. But he gets the pass away, just kind of bumps it over to PJ. It was actually a pretty decent pass. But yeah, going back to 7 assists, Penny wants to hit 20 a game for the rest of the year. You know, he wants to do that every single game. 7 assists is not enough. Now, there were a handful of points that did come off of turnovers where they were just able to push the floor. There were also a handful of points where PJ just took it on himself to get a bucket. And so you maybe can't fault them as much because PJ was on X Games mode, but in a way, 7 turnovers in a conference game like that against North Texas, you're kind of lucky to get away with a 4-point win, and it really just came down to P.J. Haggerty. Yeah,
it did. We talk about P.J. Haggerty. We got to show you this video. You saw it there maybe a couple of times. The shot we were talking about, inbound from P.J., goes to Dane Danger. You watch him. This drive was meant to be set up for him. Instead, he gets hit in his funny bone, passed off to P.J., 1 second left, and boom, that shot from 35 feet out. It was insane. Every time I watch PJ, he has the ball in his hands, I think, yeah, this guy's going to score. There's not one moment where I'm like, nah, I don't know. And that was proof of it right there. Penny said the same thing. He said, I wasn't surprised. It's PJ. That's just what you come to expect from him. Dane said the same thing. And even PJ himself said, yeah, I wasn't surprised that I made that shot. He was 11 of 14 yesterday, 5 rebounds, 27 points. Just another clinical performance once again from PJ Haggerty. Once again named AAC Player of the Week. That's the 4th time in a row a Memphis player has got that honor. Last time, Musa Cisse. We've seen PJ get it a ton already this season. He is just proving to be a force to be reckoned with out there.
Yeah, and heading into the game, he had 7-1 odds, plus 7,000, to be named the Wooden Award winner for the year, which is incredible. I mean, that's top 10 in the potential voting in that. It would be great for Memphis and great for him as well. I think that he is on pace to become an All-American. His 25 points per game has gone down to 22 points per game, but that 27 points that he had against North Texas is going to help. And I think that he's going to continue to score around those same numbers. I don't really see there being a drop-off. And I think it just goes to show you how good Penny is at developing stars. You look at Kendrick Davis, David Jones last year. And David Jones really came in and was a decent player at St. John's, and Penny developed him into this absolute beast who's now, you know, a borderline NBA player. And PJ, same way, where his usage rate is so high at Tulsa. And he's a really good player there, but he's a different player here now. And it's because of the pieces that Penny and the Tigers have put around him. And the entire team is basically PJ-centric, but it's a team-oriented basketball team. We didn't really see that in the North Texas game, but there's periods of the game where Tyrese Hunter is able to just take some pressure off of PJ, not necessarily by scoring, but by getting a couple turnovers, handling the ball well. They want Dane Danger to be really a facilitator. It didn't work out that well, but there's 3 different times in the game where they were running basically just like a zipper screen, basically, so PJ could get around the entire defense and then cut baseline. And Dane is part of that. And so Dane will set a screen, pop off, get the ball, and then look for PJ. And twice it didn't work out because it moved a little bit too quickly, where Dane was, should have gone 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, pass. Instead, he went, pass, and PJ wasn't ready for it. But that type of offense where they can really get Dane going in the facilitating part of his game and get PJ going as well, if you can develop that and get more assists, don't get 7 assists a game, get somewhere around 17 to 20, this team is extremely dangerous. There's a little bit of hero ball going on, and when you have that, you play the hot hand. You can do that in college basketball, whereas you can't really do that in the NBA. Is it sustainable? It looks like it is, but there still needs to be games where Colby Rogers scores 28. Tyrese Hunter really hasn't. He's had one game in the Maui tournament where he's really gone off, but I think we need to see a little bit more from Tyrese Hunter. I don't know if you agree with me on that. I'm interested as well. We talked about this beforehand. We're talking about Moussa Cisse and Dane Danger. Do you mind if we go to that for a second?
Sure. Just gone straight off PJ, but yes, go.
We can go back to PJ. We can definitely go back to PJ. I wanted to talk about this initially in our talk after the game. But Moussa has looked really nice. He looked really good against Ole Miss, and he looked very good against North Texas, too. What do you think about that rotation overall?
I mean, I like the idea of Dane starting more. I just think yesterday we saw they were really slow to begin with, and Dane came in and had an instant impact. I think he does more for them in regards to getting things going than what Moussa does. I don't think Moussa is by any means a bad player. I think he adds a lot, and we saw that in that Mississippi State, in the Ole Miss game, should I say, where he had a massive game and was really big on the boards as well as just facilitating things and being a big body in the paint. Yesterday, he still did a good job. He had some great moments as well, but I think Dane, to me, is the more reliable guy that I like kind of being that starter for them. Obviously, Nick Jourdain working in with them as well. I think they all kind of bounce off well, but to me, Dane's the one that really stands out as having impact. Which you can look at it the other way. You can also be like, well, it's great to have him come off the bench because he can bring that impact. And I wonder maybe if he wouldn't have as big of an impact if he was starting. So it's interesting.
Yeah, and last year, Penny didn't have this luxury of having 2 centers on the team because Jordan Brown decided to go to China or wherever he did for a couple months and then eventually came back and wasn't the same guy. So Penny had to play Jourdain in that spot a lot and really mix and match with the small ball lineups. Now he has that, and I think that you see both of them being able to play into what Penny wants their strengths to be, and that's helping PJ out a lot. I mean, just basic logic. You get more offensive rebounds, you get more chances, and every time that they get an offensive rebound, PJ's ready for it. PJ, Tyrese, or Colby are getting to their spots quickly. And
that's something they lacked yesterday. From recollection, they had 3 offensive rebounds.
Yeah, they didn't have a lot.
Is just not enough. And I mean, that's one of the areas where I looked at, I'm like, man, they're lucky to get away with that win if they only had 3 offensive rebounds because you're not getting a second chance to go and get that bucket. Obviously, their shooting percentage was really good to start with, so there wasn't something they had to concentrate on that much, but I would have liked to see them get more offensive rebounds to begin with. Going back to PJ real quick, you talk about if it's a consistent thing that we can expect from him. I mean, so far he's proven it, right? But I think the concern for me when I look at PJ, and Penny kind of touched on it yesterday, is that he's still playing too many minutes. And in a game like yesterday, he had to play that many minutes, otherwise they weren't going to get the win. But moving forward, you can't expect him to keep doing that because Penny made it pretty clear yesterday that if he's going to go and play as many minutes as he did yesterday, which is well over the 30, I can't remember, it might have been 38 minutes, it was something pretty high, 33, 38, something like that, they then can't expect him to be practicing. And if he's not practicing with them during the week just because of the toll they're putting on him during games, then they're not going to get better as a team. And that's something Penny made really clear. So he's hoping that moving forward, if they get a nice hefty lead in the first half in these AAC games, they can kind of rest PJ. That gives their bench more confidence, can go out there, get more points, and kind of allow PJ to rest a little bit during the games, and then come practice, they're able to work on things and get better as a team. That's what I would love to see moving forward, is that we see this Tiger team come out and be dominant from start to finish. Obviously, it's hard, as we've mentioned time and time again. In AAC play, you're watching these teams come in and hunt Memphis and want to beat Memphis. And everyone rises to play a team like Memphis in this conference. But I think it's important moving forward to see that Memphis can kind of control some of these games so they can rest some bigger guys and see them have a chance. PJ, just shot percentage-wise, 46.8% of his shots coming from mid-range, 21 of 47 from 3 this season, and he's getting to the free throw line 8.9 times a game on average. Really good, just consistent. You're seeing him score from all different points of the ball.
Yeah, and last year, one of the top guys in the nation at getting to the line, and there was kind of this stigma around him that's why he's scoring so many points. This year, not as much. I think he had one free throw. He had a couple attempts, but he hit one yesterday. I think it was like 1 of 2 or something like that.
Something like that.
And yeah, yesterday was just a pure shooting. Something else, they bring in Dante Harris to try to relieve some of those minutes, to give Tyrese Hunter and PJ Haggerty breaks. Looks like he's dealing with a foot injury right now. So this next stretch of games, if he can get his foot feeling better, is a perfect time to integrate somebody like him, because you have East Carolina, Temple, and Charlotte all towards the bottom of the AAC when it comes to KenPom rankings or net rankings. And then you have Wichita State, which is the 3rd best team or the 4th best team in the AAC at Wichita State on the 23rd. But yeah, East Carolina on the 11th, Temple on the 16th, and Charlotte at Temple, Charlotte on the 19th. So easy stretch here coming up for the Tigers. Should be relatively easy.
I was like, make sure you chuck in a should be right there. Yeah, Memphis back in action on Saturday. Look to improve to 3-0 in conference play as they take on East Carolina. Well, we all know this season in the SEC is going to be a bloodbath.
Yep, on Saturday, the number 23 ranked Ole Miss Rebels began the gauntlet that is the Southeastern Conference. Against one-loss Georgia. To a sold-out pavilion we go, the Rebs trying to bounce back after a 17-point beatdown by Memphis last week. Sean Padula says, oh yeah, we've reflected and rejuvenated. Ice in his veins for 3, but that ice turned straight cold. The Rebs grabbing just 1 bucket in nearly 4 minutes, and the Bulldogs capitalizing. They take a 28-26 lead at the half, with both teams shooting under 35%. But the Rebs start to get hot, opening the first 9 minutes of the second half with an 18-4 burst to build a 44-32 lead. And that lead, they would never give up. After the game, Chris Beard was proud of his team's tenacity, it's a tough word, Rachel, and resiliency.
It felt good because that's the game plan. Just have some discipline. Like, we did what we said we were going to do. Was it perfect? No. But the second half was pretty clean basketball. I mean, you beat them by 14 in the second half. You scored 37. We were holding the ball late, so we could have got to a 40, 42-point half. Lots of good things in that second half. And at the top of the list, I just thought we competed and we fought. We didn't have any, special performances tonight. I complimented Break and Matt, but that's not their A-plus game. We just played really hard as a team, and we played some great defense tonight. No denying that.
Yeah, Georgia coming into the game only had 1 loss. They're a top 20 defensive team. They're a top 50 offensive team. They have one of the best players in college basketball in Asa Newell. This game was definitely, I guess you could say, was a little bit of a trap game for Ole Miss. This is no walk in the park. No game is. All of these games remaining are pretty much all quad 1 with a handful of quad 2 games remaining in the SEC. And Ole Miss, Georgia is no exception. Georgia really bullied them in the first half. And that's what I was kind of looking out for, and that's what I asked Chris Beard and Brakefield after the game was, y'all got bullied last week. Do you think you gained back some toughness? And if it wasn't for the second half, I think you're sitting there, you're Chris Beard, he talked about, why would we even practice if we're not going to enact it on game day? And they were able to in the second half. But if you don't, you're sitting there, you're a beaten down team heading into a tough game against Arkansas, at Arkansas in the next game. But that second half nullified it. I think that second half could be a season-changing half because of what they did, breaking out to that run. But it wasn't just that. It was, you break out to that run, Georgia still has to get possessions, right? You're stopping Georgia a lot. Georgia in the first half had 16 points in the paint, and it was easy buckets. And a lot of it wasn't, going through someone's chest. A lot of it was defensive miscommunication in ways. So they weren't always getting bullied in the paint. They had 16 points in the paint in the first half, 8 in the second half, and they were all tough buckets. There was no easy buckets for Georgia pretty much in the second half. Ole Miss really cut down on the turnovers, especially in the final 10 minutes of the game. And yeah, I think that it's something that they can be proud of. I don't know if you have anything else on that, but there are some negatives about the game as well. Sean Padula didn't have a great game. He started out the game hitting 2 hard threes. One of them that you saw there really pittered off throughout the game. He hit a shot at the end. Matthew Morrell hit a shot at the beginning and then really just continued to get to the free throw line a couple of times. Almost half of his points came from the free throw line. He hit a big three, and then he hit a fadeaway towards the end of the game. But for the most part, it was the Brakefield show, and that was really good for him. I didn't know he could shoot the three like that. He had 3 big threes. But
the most he's ever had in a game for him.
Yeah, no, it was definitely big. I mean, Georgia were not preparing for him to shoot threes. So without that performance, you may be sitting there with not a good loss to Georgia, but overall pretty positive for the Rebels.
Yeah, I think obviously it's a good win. It's a needed win because when you look at the SEC, it's a gauntlet, right? We say that every week. The SEC has 6 of the top 10 in the current AP top 25. Just wild stats. Only 4 teams in that top 10 are not in the SEC. So every win right now in the SEC is important, especially I think at home. That's when you really need to capitalize on that fan engagement. I heard Coach Beard say after the game, he really felt like the fans had an impact on that game and helped move them forward. I expected them to come out and be more dominant. I think after losing by 17 to Memphis, an in-state rival, basically an in-state rival, a team that...
Right on the edge.
Yeah, right there. A team that they have had this rivalry with for a long time, that they beat last year. Their former player, Musa Cisse, is over at Memphis. They pretty well get embarrassed, I think it's fair to say, by 17 points. And then to come out, I thought they would really bounce back from that and come out with a fire in their belly to be like, what you saw last week against Memphis isn't us. We are a much better team than that. And obviously, the quality of competition, Georgia's a great team too. It's not like they're playing a quad 4 team yesterday. It was a couple of days ago. It was a great team in Georgia, like you said, a 1-loss team. So it was never going to be super easy for them, but I expected to see more from them. In the end, though, the stats are still pretty impressive. They held the Bulldogs to 11.1% from beyond the arc and 29% from the field shooting as a whole. And that's a team that usually shoots over 50% from the field.
They're a good shooting team, for
so
sure.
For Ole Miss to be able to limit them in that regard, I thought was really impressive. You mentioned both Brakefield and Matt Morrell. I thought really great performances from them and performances that were needed. They're 2 of the veterans on that team. They chose to stay at Ole Miss to do something this year. And it kind of felt like they were out there being like, no, we're not going to lose this at home. Like, we need to make sure that this gets a win because they stayed for a reason. And they go and lose to Georgia. Like, why did I choose to stay here? What are we doing? And so I thought it was good to see them kind of stand up and show that leadership amongst the team. You mentioned Matt. Obviously, he had that early shot, you said, and then kind of went a little bit slow and soft. I think it's interesting with him right now. I think everyone expected him to bring more this year, but obviously he was out a couple weeks with a lower body injury. Chris Beard said after the game that he's now got full minutes he's allowed, so they're not kind of holding him back at all. They're just going to let him play, and he's still doing some work in the gym to kind of get back up to full fitness. But I think this is a game, 15 points from him, 3 assists, 11th all-time now in Ole Miss scoring. That's what he surpassed on the weekend. I think this is maybe a building game for him, maybe slowly getting back to the Matt Morrell we know and have come to love, and I think we'll hopefully see more of that moving forward as we get into more conference play.
Yeah, and I said 2 weeks ago that I think Matt Morrell needs to average around 18 points per game, and I think we saw that. If he's around that 18 to 20 clip in this game, it's not really in the first half. If he can get like 9 points or 8 points, Ole Miss are able to create a little bit of a cushion. This is a different game. He just wasn't hitting his shots, and something may be bothering him in his lower body still. But at the same time, his teammates in this game weren't really helping him out besides Brakefield. Juju Murray, this is the first game he hasn't started at point guard. He came off the bench. He was 1 of 7 with 3 points. He did not have a great game. Malik Dia as well had a decent game with 7 points and 7 rebounds, but defensively, there were a lot of times where Morrell had to slide to help him out. Morrell's having to overwork himself on the defensive end too. And I want to talk about Malik for a second because keep in mind, Ole Miss don't have a true center that plays on this team.
Right.
They really don't. And Georgia, at the same time, don't have a dominant center, but they dominated them inside the paint with rebounds and getting points in the paint in the first half especially, and through parts of the second half too. I think that's concerning when you have players like Janai Broome with Auburn who looks like he's going to win the Wooden Award. Mississippi State have a couple guys. So do Kentucky and so do Arkansas who really can dominate inside the paint. Malik Dia is just not a big guy. 7 rebounds is a good stat line, but there were at times where he was just making mistakes defensively. He was making mistakes offensively. And Chris Beard was toughest on him for sure. And during the Memphis game, I don't know if you remember this, Memphis fans were chirping Dia. And then all of a sudden he explodes, and I think he scored 3 out of the next 5 baskets for Ole Miss. Similar thing happened in this game, where a Georgia player was chirping him a little bit, and then he ended up getting that putback dunk that you saw. He talks so much, and then was just so electric. Maybe he needs something like that. I don't know.
Maybe they need to have someone on their bench just being like, just continuously chirping him.
Yeah,
Get it under his skin.
Maybe they do need something like that. But I think the coaching staff realizes it because Beard is saying stuff to him. Where he'll be like, "What are you doing?" At one point, he was like, "What do you want to be on the court or do you want to be on the bench?" And maybe that didn't motivate him the right way. But Beard's a great motivator. He'll figure it out. Something else they did I thought was interesting. I haven't seen outside the high school level. They were counting passes in the second half. I don't know. That sounds like a UTEP basketball thing. So maybe you've seen that before. That's a Conference USA move. But they were counting.
Shots fired there.
Oh no! It's definitely. Back to the basics,
Hey, I'll have UTEP basketball are 2-0 in conference play right now. Thank you very much.
Oh, all right, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
One of 2 teams. The other team, NMSU, also a team I covered. So.
Cool.
Battle of I-10 coming up this weekend if anyone wants to tune in.
You let me finish.
You started. You're throwing shots
I
over
want to
here.
hear more about UTEP and NMSU. They were counting passes, so it was 1, 2. In the first half, they weren't doing that at all.
Did you struggle to keep up?
Once it got past 4, it was like, when you have that Memphis high school education, yeah.
You said it, not me.
Well, you basically did. I know how you feel about it. Once they got past about 5, it was like, oh gosh, yeah. They were moving the ball a lot better in the second half. You completely derailed my point. You were the one that derailed it there. That was a good point I was making. They were counting passes, moving the ball better.
No, yeah.
Oh, move on to the next thing.
Well,
it's me.
Ole Miss are also moving on. They're back in action on Wednesday when they take on Arkansas, looking to move to 2-0 on the season. At Arkansas.
With the trade deadline about a month away, one of the biggest names swirling the rumor mill is disgruntled star Jimmy Butler. Could the Memphis Grizzlies be a potential landing spot? The rumors are heating up, but does it make sense for the team? We'll break it all down when we come back after the break. Stay tuned.
The weather affects us every day, but some days are more impactful than others. In Memphis, we get it all. From heat waves, severe storms, snow, and ice. As a meteorologist, it's my job to keep you safe on those impactful days. Don't get caught off guard and know what to expect with ABC 24 Weather Impact Days.
The 24 Plus app. Watch us live and continue with us on 24 Plus. And get extended coverage of weather and breaking news. The 24 Plus app. ABC 24 is making your voice heard.
This city is filthy, it's crime infested, and somebody need to do something about it.
Listening to your concerns.
We could have such a great city if we really just put the time and energy into it and come up with solutions.
And getting results for you.
We appreciate 24 for coming out.
Getting the issues taken care of.
When you put it on ABC 24, somebody gonna listen.
ABC 24, seeking solutions for you.
I just love working on this morning show.
We really are like one big family. Myself, Yvonne, Ruben.
You're probably gonna like what you see and what you hear, and you're gonna leave being informed and having a little bit of fun at the same time.
ABC 24 News this morning.
The news never stops, so we're taking you beyond the broadcast with ABC 24 Plus.
Continuing coverage of the issues that matter to you.
We need to get something done.
More interviews and stories that dig deeper.
The Lord has a plan, is all I know.
We'll take you beyond the scores and highlights for local sports coverage you can't find anywhere else.
Plus, on-demand forecasts to keep you weather aware.
ABC 24 News right now on ABC 24 Plus.
Welcome back to the 24th floor. After a grueling 6-game road trip that ended with 2 wins and 3 losses, the Grizzlies are back at home tonight, finally at FedEx Forum. They'll face the defending Western Conference champions, the Dallas Mavericks, at 7 p.m. The Grizzlies currently hold a 2.5-game lead over the Mavericks in the Southwest Division. This will be their second meeting of the season. The Grizzlies lost the first matchup in Dallas and will be seeking revenge tonight. The Mavs will be without stars Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic, who have both been ruled out injured, or both been ruled out due to injuries. So a chance for the Grizz to kind of get back on track tonight, in my mind at least. You go on that road stretch, you lose. I would say some games they shouldn't have lost, right? I mean, you're looking at those last 2 games. I would have liked for them to get one of those and kind of come back with a winning record out of those 5, to have 3 wins, 2 losses instead of the other way around. But tonight, a chance against a depleted Dallas Mavericks team to kind of get back on the board. Obviously, the Grizzlies themselves also a bit depleted. 8 guys kind of still in and around that injury list. I think Luke Kennard is back to questionable tonight, which is a very rare update we ever get from the Grizzlies. Usually it's just the other 3, but he's back to questionable. Bain is still also doubtful, and then you got Yuki, I think the most probable to return tonight.
Yeah, we need a Yuki tonight, right?
Hey, maybe that's a sign that's going to be one of those games where they chuck Yuki in the end because they're up by so much.
Well, I mean, I think it's interesting because it's not like the Grizzlies are the only team that are dealing with injuries. The Warriors were without Gary Payton. The second, Steph Curry, and who was it as well? Looney and Pajemski, the other guard. I mean, and they were able to win. So the Grizzlies were without 8 players, but a lot of those players, Taylor Jenkins and the Grizzlies knew they were going to be out for extended periods of time, even if it was, something where you have a week to really game plan for this Warriors game. He knew what players were going to be out. And so I'm not really saying it's on him, but I'm saying that not by the organization, but there's been a lot of excuses thrown around on social media, and Sacramento did make a big deal about beating the Grizzlies. That's a rivalry there. Mm-hmm. For some reason, Malik Monk always gets up for that game. He had 31 in that one. He kind of has a little rivalry with Ja. And so Grizzly fans were kind of clowning them for, their whole thing is lighting the beam. Sacramento lights the beam. And, but you still beat the Grizzlies, and you still beat Jaren Jackson and Desmond Bane. Mm-hmm. I said it last week. The Grizzlies, after they lost to OKC, the Grizzlies are capable with Desmond Bane and Jaren Jackson and a couple other pieces like Luke Kennard and Jake LaRavia of beating a lot of teams in this league, pretty much anybody. OKC right now, best team in the league. That's a tough one. But they still played them well. And then they go out and they beat the Suns. The Suns have been struggling. That's still a really good team, though. And then, it kind of pitters out against Sacramento and Golden State, 2 tough teams to play against, but both teams dealing with injuries. Sacramento not as much, but Golden State Golden State Twitter was going off about how resilient that Golden State team was last night. Playoff Wiggins, as we like to say, playoff Wiggins, All-Star Wiggins, All-Star Andrew Wiggins, who will be an All-Star Rich. Rich is our producer. He doesn't believe in the Andrew Wiggins hype. I do. I think that was a little bit of a gut punch last night. I haven't really heard anyone say it. It's one NBA game in January, but coming back home, you want to come back with a little bit of confidence. And now you're sitting there, you don't have to play against Luka Doncic or Kyrie Irving, but you didn't have to play against Steph Curry the other night either, and you go out there and lose.
Right, but both those teams also aren't playing against Ja Morant, which is, you talk about Luka being the star for Dallas and Steph being the star for Golden State. Obviously, they have other pieces out as well. But, the Grizzlies are also out with Ja. So it's kind of levels that playing field out in my mind to an extent at least. But then you look at some other guys the Grizzlies are missing, and I think one of the key ones to me that has been out for the last couple of weeks is Santi Aldama.
Yeah.
I mean, just a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about him as 6th man of the year potential odds and how big of an impact he's playing, how much he's grown this offseason, this summer, going and playing with Spain in the Olympics. I mean, he was averaging 13 points, 7.3 rebounds, 3 assists. He's shooting over 50% from the floor, nearly 40% from three-point range. He's a guy that when he's on, he is having such an impact on that Grizzlies team this year. And he's pretty much on every game. And it's not just his scoring ability and what he's doing right there, but it's also the attitude that he brings. When he hits one of those threes, it feels like it pumps the entire Grizzlies organization up, and they kind of feed off his energy. And I think not having him on that team the last couple of weeks has been really tough. And you got to remember, they're on the road. 5 games on the road, that's a long period, a long stretch to be gone for. I expect them to come back tonight and really have an oomph about them. But one thing to me, an oomph. Oomph? Oomph?
Mm-hmm.
Oomph?
The whole organization?
The Grizzlies team tonight, whoever's on the floor.
Oomph, I haven't heard that. I like that.
One of them, whatever, whichever one you want to go with. I expect them to be pretty big tonight and then have a big impact on the game. The thing for me kind of moving forward that I want to see changed and cleaned up, and I've spoken about this before, but it played such a pivotal role in this road game stretch, is the turnovers once again. They're second worst in the league in turnovers, 17.4 per game they're averaging, and they're having a turnover on more than 16% of their possessions. That's just crazy. And obviously they have the most possessions out of anyone in the league, so you're seeing that turnover number just continuously go up. On the road in those 5 games, they're averaging 19 turnovers per game, which is above their season average. Never once did they have less than 17 turnovers in any of those 5 games. Obviously, they won 2 of those games, but they also lost 3. And the points that they were giving away off those turnovers, 25.4. You're just handing a team 25 points right there on average. Like, that's a lot of points just be giving away easily. And obviously, sometimes it's okay because they're also turning the ball over and you're also getting points off their turnovers and things are moving quickly. But for the most part, that's just way too many points to be giving away. And I think at the beginning of the season, we were giving them a lot of lax in it because we were saying, well, they're implementing this new offense. They're trying to get it adjusted to it, some new players and some new pieces moving in. So a lot of these turnovers are just them trying to figure things out. But now it feels like the turnovers are just careless. It's not necessarily another team, especially against Golden State, putting pressure on them. It's just Memphis turning the ball over carelessly and not holding on to it enough. And that's really killing their possessions. And against a team like Golden State, whether they be without Steph or not, and whether Memphis has who they have or don't have on the court, it's having an impact on the overall result of the game.
Yeah. I mean, they really struggled in that Golden State game as well. And Golden State, at the same time, Memphis don't have a lot to lose. Golden State got beat by 50. With Steph Curry in the lineup the last time that they played. And so they had a little bit more to play for. And Draymond and Andrew Wiggins were really on defensively last night. I thought they had 2 of their best defensive games that they've had this season, and that's really saying something. They've had a lot of great performances. Scottie Pippen Jr. struggled a little bit, but I think overall the Grizzlies have the highest pace in the league. They have the most possessions overall. They have over 3,800 possessions, which is number 1 in the league. And so with more possessions, you're going to turn over the ball more. But the big thing is points off a turnover. So if you turn the ball over, get back down the court, hustle back down, which is difficult to do for 4 quarters. But I think that's why you're seeing it a little bit more. You're talking about Santi Aldama as well. Something that has been great for the Grizzlies over this road stretch that they haven't really been able to capitalize on except for the Suns game, and Luke Kennard was a big part of that that win against the Suns, is Luke Kennard's play on this road trip. He went 16 in the first game, or that was against OKC, and then 17-11 and was out versus Golden State. But Jake LaRavia stepped up and had 17. So they're getting some output, but at the same time, you're talking about Santi being big coming off the bench. There were games this season where even early on when Vince Williams Jr. was healthy, there were some other bench guys that were coming in and getting double digits. Right now, it's basically just one guy getting double digits off the bench. Santi Aldama coming back pretty much guarantees you a double-digit spread coming off of the bench, and you pair that with someone like Luke Kennard, who's really playing for his job right now. In a way, he's in a lot of trade rumors at the moment, and he wants to play well. The Grizzlies want him to play well. If they think that they want to trade him, they want to sell high on him, and Kennard wants to go to a right spot, and he doesn't want to, average 10 minutes a game at his next place, and he shouldn't. And so maybe that factors in a little bit, and he's had a tough season, has been out injured, but he's been massive for them. And Luke Kennard takes care of the basketball as well, and that's something that they've always said about Luke Kennard, and Luke Kennard prides himself on, and so he was kind of their safety valve in these road games. But overall, kind of hard on him at the beginning, but you can kind of write off these road games as that's the NBA. That's the NBA Western Conference this year too, and you just move on to the next one and you rack up some wins at home and then look for the next road trip, hopefully with John Morant healthy.
Yeah, so the next one of those, obviously back at home tonight against the Dallas Mavericks, but you mentioned those trade rumors. I think it's time to get into them. A lot swirling around right now with the Grizzlies trade rumors, particularly with this man.
Yep, Jimmy Butler. Grizzlies are favorites right now to sign Jimmy Butler, which is interesting because a couple days ago they weren't even on the list. So something has happened, but will it help the Grizzlies? I think the only reason why that they would want to sign Jimmy Butler is to win a championship, right? because his contract ends at the end of the year. He could walk away, and then you're left with nothing except for cap space. So the only reason why they would want to trade for Jimmy Butler is to win now, which the Grizzlies have never made a move in the Zach Kleiman era like this before. I don't expect them to make this move, but someone knows something that we don't. For their odds to jump like that, they were the 7th most likely team a couple days ago, according to a couple sports books, and now according to DraftKings, they're plus 300 to sign him. The next team is Phoenix at plus 400 and then Golden State at plus 450. You can make an easier case for Phoenix and Golden State, much easier case than you could for Memphis, because if you were going to trade for Jimmy Butler, in my opinion, now there are other ways to make this trade work, of course. In my opinion, you would have to give up Desmond Bane. And so it would look like Desmond Bane and Luke Kennard for Butler. Or what you could do is Marcus Smart, Brandon Clark, Luke Kennard, John Conchar, and a second-round pick next year for Butler and Love. But I don't know why Miami go for that, in a way. I don't understand why they would go. How does that help Miami now? Either way, you're hurting your depth. You're hurting your depth in a big way if you go for the bigger deal and you give up guys like Marcus Smart, Brandon Clark, even someone like Kennard and Conchar as well. You don't give up as much depth when you give up Kennard and Bane. And now Miami could use two guys like Desmond Bane and Luke Kennard. It's definitely more of an even trade, in my opinion. But why would they want to trade Desmond Bane?
Yeah, I just don't see the Grizzlies giving up Desmond Bane. In everything that I've ever heard Zach Kleiman say, it's I'm building this team around these 3 guys, those 3 guys being Desmond Bane, Jaren Jackson Jr., and Ja Morant. That's what they did last year with the draft, was to build around that team. Kleiman said it in the beginning press conference of this season. I feel like we have the team to win this thing with those 3 guys in the team. I don't see a world in which they give up Des Bane. I would be shocked to see that happen. But obviously, it is a possibility. And I can understand why some people are talking about it. Obviously, the Grizzlies, they want a big wing. They want someone like that. They missed out on Dorian earlier this season when he went to the Lakers. And that was, I think, a big miss for their part. I think that would have been a great addition to them. Obviously, a lot of talks in who they would have traded, and the Lakers kind of swooped in and got him. So I can see why the Grizzlies are kind of on the market and looking for someone. I just don't think Jimmy Butler is the right move. And number one, like I mentioned, I don't think they're getting rid of Bane. And I don't think the Heat, as you mentioned, would take the other option in going those guys. I just don't think it adds enough value to their team. But for me, I just don't think he's a good addition to this team. And the main reason being we're seeing what's happening in Miami right now with his behavior being an issue and that having an impact on the team as a whole. The one thing that I noticed so much about the Grizzlies this year, and we get an inside look into them, we're in that locker room every single game after their home games, is they seem to genuinely be enjoying playing with each other.
Yeah, definitely.
And I've been in a ton of locker rooms, and so have you, where you know that's not the case. Like, you can tell that it's not the case. But in that locker room, they're all chirping each other, having fun. At Christmas, there was literally presents the galore. You see Yuki handing out gummy bears and jelly beans to everyone. They're having fun in that locker room. They're enjoying playing together. And the risk for me in bringing a guy like Butler in is that he can ruin all of that. And I don't know why you'd ever want to risk that.
Yeah, I don't know what it would look like with Jimmy Butler and Ja Morant's personalities together. That would be interesting. That would be very interesting. I would also like to know what they're thinking about right now, too, because Desmond Bane is really great friends with guys like Jaren Jackson and Ja Morant and some of the younger guys on the team as well. I think it would really disrupt chemistry. And at the beginning of the year, they're implementing this new offense. It seems to be in place now for the most part. They may be adding in more sets as the season progresses. But you get this new offense. This team still hasn't played together that long with it. They built chemistry along with this new offense. And you add Jimmy Butler in. Jimmy Butler's at the point in his career where he's going to say, oh, that's cute. I like what y'all are doing with the analytics and everything. I'm going to take my shots. I'm going to take over the ball. You look at someone like Desmond Bane, who is usually averaging around 15 field goal attempts per game based off the last 2 seasons. He's cut it down to 11 or 12 a game. He's clearly taking less shots. Jimmy Butler's not going to come out here and take less shots. I can tell you that much. He's never done it in his career. He's a great player, but that has never been who he is. He's a volume guy. He's a volume shooter, and he's not going to change that. Yeah, I don't even think he'll change it, in the next 5 years when he starts to lose his speed. Is he a great player? Yes. Is he an all-star level player? Yes. Can he help the Grizzlies win? If it works out, 100%. You have to look at something where Grizzly fans really have to take a look at themselves and who you like most on this team. Desmond Bane is one of the most popular guys on this team and has been for a while. You look at someone like him, starting from TCU, coming in as not a highly rated player and has been borderline all-star throughout his career, but he's not as good as Jimmy Butler. Let's just face it. You know, that might be heresy in Memphis to say that, but it's not like Jimmy's that much further ahead of him.
But there is a gap.
Yeah, there is a gap, and so there is a case to be made. But long term, 3 years from now, this Grizzlies team, even this year or next year, they could be competing for a championship with Desmond Bane. They're not going to be competing for a championship with Jimmy Butler in 3 years. I can tell you that much.
Right. Yeah, it's this year or never if you're going to get Jimmy Butler. If the Grizzlies don't grab him, decide either they don't want him or they can't get him in a trade, is there anyone else you think the Grizzlies should be targeting in a trade right now before that deadline kicks in?
I think Cam Johnson with the Brooklyn Nets, someone to add to the Grizzlies front court. He's averaging 19 points per game, 50% from the field. I've said this, believe it or not, I've said this since early December, that I highlighted Cam Johnson. I felt like he would be perfect for this team. I think he would slide in perfectly. You could even play him alongside Jaren Jackson Jr. Edie's been struggling with a lot of injuries this season, so you could even start him with Jaren Jackson Jr. in a way. I'm sure they could figure it out. He's a vet at this point. Now, he has had injury troubles. Last year, he played 58 games, though, which is not too shabby. And this year, he's played in 32 games, and that's where you see him, where his numbers are ticking up to where he's at a career-high 19 points per game, career-high field goal percentage. His true shooting percentage is also at a career high, and his effective field goal percentage is top 25 in the league, too, or top 30 in the league as well. He's a really good player. And he's a humble guy. He's a team guy. Everywhere he's gone, he's been a team guy. I think it would be perfect, and they don't have to give up that much. I see them packaging a deal with someone who's on about $3 million a year in Whitehead, who plays for the Brooklyn Nets, with Cam Johnson. You add them together, and you trade for Vince Williams Jr. and Marcus Smart, and that levels out. That the contracts work out perfectly. Both teams. Maybe not both teams win, but what is Brooklyn doing this year? Are they competing for a title? So you just take those assets and then maybe you package them into another deal that helps you out. Because the Grizzlies have to decide, are they going to sell high on Vince Williams Jr.? Because he's been injured a lot this year. And he was injured some last year as well. Now, he had an
absolutely... Did he play one game this year before he got injured
again? So last year he had a great season for the most part. Was a breakout guy, one of the best defensive players in the NBA last year. This year, we haven't seen it at all. And so what if he comes back and he's not nearly the player he was last year? Now, in that one game, he did look really nice. I will say that. I am a fan of Vince Williams Jr.'s game. I think he's a very good player. But I would rather have Cam Johnson. Just bottom line, that's what I want. Vince Williams Jr. is also younger, so you could make a case that this is not an even trade if you take money out of it and you just look at potential overall. Because Vince Williams Jr. is a guy who could end up being Cam Johnson one day. I don't think he's as tall as Cam Johnson. His game's a little bit different. But giving up Marcus Smart, I haven't even mentioned him yet. I think that Cam Johnson gives the Grizzlies a better chance to make a run in the playoffs. Their depth is fine in the front court, in my opinion. It's in the back court, and it's the front court that they need to strengthen. And if you have to give up Marcus Smart, I think you do it, because I don't think Marcus Smart is a great player. He is an amazing player. I even said earlier this year that I think Marcus Smart could be a Hall of Famer. I don't think a lot of people would agree with me on that. But he's lost some of his speed. He's still a great defensive player. He's had handfuls of great games this year, but I think that he is an asset that they should use to try to get better.
My question for you is, for the Grizzlies to make a deep playoff run this year, do they need to get a trade done?
Do they need to? Cam Johnson would make them better.
But to make it happen.
To make it happen, you're talking about deep, or you're talking about going to the finals?
Whatever you classify as deep. But yes.
All right, I'll give you...
go to the finals, because that's what everyone as a Grizzlies fan wants. That's what everyone in the Grizzlies franchise wants, is to go to the final. So do they need to make a trade to make it happen?
I'll say yes. I think that they do, but I don't think it has to be as big as Cam Johnson.
Or Jimmy Butler.
Or Jimmy Butler, of course. But look, if this Grizzlies team is fully healthy, you get Vince Williams Jr. back, you get G.G. Jackson back, Kennard stays healthy, Ja Morant stays healthy, which there hasn't been a precedent of that for 2 years now. And then also Zach Edey, who never had really an issue with injuries, right? Is having issues with injuries in the NBA now. If you get all those guys healthy, this is a complete team. I don't think they really need to make a trade. But the last 2 years, as precedent, the Grizzlies are not going to stay healthy for the rest of the year. Hopefully they do, but right now it doesn't look like they are.
Yeah, we've already seen it this year so far.
Yeah, and they've been very careful with Ja, and Ja's made it very clear that he wants to play as many games as possible. He came back, I think it was somewhere in November when he was saying, Grizzlies Twitter pressured me into playing. Ja really wanted to play, and clearly the trainers were like, look, you should probably sit it out, but if you want to play, go ahead and play. There's not a lack of desire for Ja. Ja wants to be out there. But if they can stay healthy, then no. I don't think they're going to stay healthy. I think that they're going to have issues just going off of past trends. And so I think you do need to get somebody. And Cam Johnson is just, he's on $24 million a year. It's a reasonable contract. That's a little bit more than Marcus Smart. I just think that is the best case scenario for them, unless you want to go out there and you get a defensive guy like Herb Jones. I really don't think that helps them out that much. There's not a ton of options for the Grizzlies to go and get. In my opinion, it's, and I'm by no means an NBA trade expert or anything. In my opinion, it's Cam Johnson or bust. If you look at 2 years ago, they got Luke Kennard. They needed three-point shooting. This year, they need some more depth in their front court. They need somebody who is an efficient shooter as well across the board. Cam Johnson ticks all the boxes. I think he makes them better. Saying that without Cam Johnson, they're not going to make a deep run is a pretty crazy claim. So, but sure, let's go ahead and say it. If they don't,
I was going to say, you love a crazy claim.
Yeah, if they don't add a little bit more depth into their front court, then I think somebody slips up and beats them. That West is just so good this year.
Yeah, and you make a good point about the injury side of things too, because we're just seeing so much inconsistency with who they've got on the court day in, day out right now. About 8 or 9 guys out heading into tonight's game against the Dallas Mavericks. Tip-off for that one at 7 p.m. And boy, that does it for us here on the 24th floor today, Monday edition. Be sure to check out all we do right here on ABC 24 Plus, as well as abc24.com and our YouTube page. You can also follow the team, myself, Caleb, and Avery on Twitter or X for the latest updates. We'll be back on Thursday to break down all things in the Mid-South sports world. But for now, saying farewell. Have a good one. We'll see you back here Thursday.
Let us know